Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We have exactly 2 monologues to go in Merry Devil of Edmonton. We get to hear from host Blague today in Act 5, Scene 2, which is the last scene of the play. So we've got today and tomorrow, and then we're going to wrap the whole thing up and start on the next one. But anyway, before we get there, there's been a lot of crazy farcical stuff going on, and people dressed up as friars, and they snuck Millicent out of the forest at the same time that these guys were hunting deer in the forest. And then to divert these guys, this guy said that they were the ones that stole the deer, and there's been lots of confusion, and it got so confusing that Sir Arthur Clare and Sir Ralph Yerningham ended up outside the wrong inn last night as they were sort of trying to regroup after all of this craziness that happens in the woods, where they were sort of detained for stealing deer that they didn't steal while they were looking for Millicent, who had been broken out of the nunnery. So the top of Act 5, Scene 2, we've got host Blague at the St. George, which is his inn, and that's the one where Sir Arthur Clare and Sir Ralph Yerningham were supposed to be staying. And he's, doing host type things, and Arthur Clare and Ralph Yerningham come in, and he's like, "Where were you last night? Like, you're here, but you didn't stay here. What was that all about?" And they're like, we were in the right town, but it turns out we were at the wrong inn. There was something weird about the signs." So host Blague says, "Body of St. George, this is mine overthwart neighbor hath done this to seduce my blind customers. I'll tickle his catastrophe for this. If I do not indict him at next assizes for burglary, let me die of the yellows. For I see 'tis no boot in these days to serve the good Duke of Norfolk. The villainous world is turned manger. One jade deceives another, and your ostler plays his part commonly for the 4th share. Have we comedies in hand, you whoreson villainous male London lecher?" So this is a monologue that doesn't exactly drive the plot very far forward, but it does let us sort of know who host Blague is. He's like, this is my neighbor playing more tricks on me, and I'm gonna back at him for this, and basically it boils down to, the savages in this town sort of thing is where he's going at. But then the last bit, have we comedies in hand, he's asking, like, so what happened? What silly tricks happened to you? And Clare and Yerningham reply that they were in the forest all night, and Blague was like, "Oh my goodness, so was I was there stealing deer." And they're like, "We got busted for that. We were detained for that, and that was you?" And Blague is like, yeah, this is how things go. But, I had to get back to the inn because there was a wedding that was going to be happening here this morning. At which point, Smug and Raymond Mounchensey, Harry Clare, Bilbo, Priest Sir John, and Millicent enter, and there's a little bit of an exchange between Smug and host Blague that results in Smug leaving to get more booze. It's nothing really important that they talk about. There's some babble about the deer, and then Smug leaves to go get some more booze. And Sir Arthur Clare turns and asks Raymond if he married his daughter, and Raymond's like, "Yeah." And Sir Arthur Clare starts to get after Mounchensey. He's like, "How dare you? I had this whole plan and everything." Millicent gets to pipe up, and she's like, "Actually, Dad, I was in on this. And the only reason that I went along with your whole crazy nunnery thing is because I'd made a deal with those guys that they were going to break me out so that I could go and marry Raymond." So Sir Arthur Clare turns to Frank and says, "Did you know about this?" Because remember, he wanted it to be Frank that married Millicent. And Frank was like, "Yeah, I knew about it, and I didn't want to get in the way of my friend's love, because Raymond and Millicent are in love." And Sir Arthur Clare has a moment of clarity. Clare has a clarity where he's like, "Is that why the sign was in the wrong place?" And host Blague is like, "Yeah, you got us. We were following the directions of Peter Fable, and all of us here were really sort of in on this whole plot." And Sir Arthur Clare turns to Priest Sir John, and he's like, "You're the one that married these two? You married my daughter to this guy Raymond?" And Priest Sir John's like, yes, I did." And then Peter Fable enters from nowhere, I guess, but he enters to tell us, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story. and we will get to hear that monologue tomorrow as we wrap up this play. So I'll see you then for that. Mwah.